Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today, as you can see already, we are doing this a little bit differently because we're going to have a look at the 2022 newly released Airfix model kit catalogue, including all their new releases that we briefly touched upon last week. And I thought it'd be nice, as I didn't actually show any last week, I thought it'd be nice this time to actually show you the catalogue itself. And I know in a lot of territories you probably haven't got it yet. It's readily available now actually in the UK. In fact, I picked this up at the Sainsbury's superstore locally, so your local supermarkets have got it, and WH Smith's, places like that. It's not a cheap publication. I think it's about £9. In fact, it may say on the back. Does it tell us? I'm sure it was something crazy like £8.99, which is a bit naughty, but anyway, we'll talk about Airfix's prices later. But before we get into that, just a quick one. I'm not going to appear on the video today, you'll be pleased to hear. I thought you might be interested in just the latest progress with my little Porsche I've been working on. This is the Le Mans. Sorry about the masking tape, it's just still in the middle of having some masking up done, but it's the Le Mans Steve McQueen Porsche 917, the Gulf Porsche number 20. Just thought you might like to see how we're getting on. I've actually built up some seat belts, as you can see here. That's had to be done almost from scratch, from sort of not proper scratch building, but from some mixing and matching, shall we say, from other kits. And the belts were actually red, so I had to spray them black, and been a bit of a fiddle, to be honest. More fiddly than you would expect, so a bit of a pain, but we're getting there slowly. We're starting to. I've actually got some of the Gulf blue on the side sprayed on, so we are starting to get there. Anyway, just for those of you, several of you said the other week, why don't you get that finished? So we are working on it, I promise you. So Airfix then, the Airfix catalogue, here it is. Now they are majoring, of course, with their new 24 scale Spitfire Mark 9X. As you can see, sorry, I'm just having a quick slurp of coffee. Let's get into this, see what we've got. So, there's some you see one or two things that are new artworks. You'll also see one or two, like the shooting star here and the British Arnhem infantry there, that are quite evocative of their artwork of old, shall we say. I'm just going to move the camera over. I think we're a little bit too far over to the left. I think we just need to come in a bit. How's that? There we go. So, I just thought we'd do it this way because I think you get a better quality view, really. Chipmunk, talking about the Airfix sort of brand and their various social media platforms. Airfix Club, which you can join, of course, and get discounts and things. Yeah, they do quite a lot of self-promotion here, which is not a bad thing, I guess. They're talking about all their various platforms within their website, the workbench and the aerodrome and all this kind of thing that they do. Some interesting things worthy of having a bit of a nosy at. And then the Quickbell Kits for the youngsters. Just wonder if we need a bit more light in, just 1 second. Do we need some more? I might. Is that better? Better have some over here? It might be. There we are. Yeah, the Quickbell Kits, of which there are several, including the new F35 Lightning 2, F35B, the carrier version. Is that right? Carrier version? Yeah, carrier version, the vertical takeoff. Interesting new ones they brought out. They've got this couple of Jeeps. They've obviously got a tie in with Jeep. And they've got their Overland and Gladiator concept, quickstand concept, the Ford Mustang GT68. You may have seen some of these on the Hornby programme, of course, recently, which was very interesting. Showed how they developed some of these models from the concept right through to the finished, going through the R&D process of doing the mock-ups, etc. And then some new ones for this year. We've got Jaguar I-Pace E-Trophy, that's quite interesting. McLaren P1, we've got the new Bugatti Chiron, etc, etc, so on and so forth. And then we've got some Challenger tanks as well. And these are very easy to put together, but it's got a Lego quality to it. Not sure how they got away with it, actually. It looks like Lego to me, but anyway, there we go. I'm surprised there isn't a patent issue there, but oops, who am I to say? Yeah, they're quite good, they get good feedback and they seem to sell well. We've got Spitfire, Messerschmitt, Mustang. Good range here, quite a good range. Just trying to decide if I've got enough light or not. Have we got enough light? Is that better? It's maybe a bit better. And then we're getting into these sort of starter sets, the youngsters, which these starter sets are quite good. I talked about this when I did the review on the Sherman and the Tiger about the pre-moulded track and wheel system, which is quite nice. And then we've got these new items I just alluded to on the starter sets. We've got the this is in the proper kits now, but they've gone for this 1/43 or HO scale, I think it is, same scale as their trains. So I guess the idea, maybe they're thinking that you can put them next to one of their Hornby trains. So we've got the Bugatti Chiron and the Pagani Huayra, very striking, and they're in the same colour plastic as you see here. We have got a new moulded Jaguar E-Type, which does look quite nice. I mean, everybody likes an E-Type, don't they? It's like everybody likes a Spitfire. There's hardly anybody in the world doesn't like the E-Type, you know. If you don't like it, you're very much in a minority, let's put it that way. We've got the Mary Rose back, which is a reintroduction. Now, there's language that Hornby Airfix use here. They talk about reintroductions, which are basically old tools. It's another polite way of saying it's an old tool. But that's fine, as long as we know, not like some companies like Revell who put a brand new box art, say nothing, everybody thinks it's a brand new kit until they open it, like with the Harrier GR1 recently, the year before last I think, and you open it and find out that it's from the 70s and it's not very nice, to put it mildly. So we've got the Spitfire Mark 5C starter set, which has been tremendously popular. Came out a year or two ago, wasn't it? The red arrows, obviously these have got these lovely shadow stands, which are very nice. Then we've got the Tiger and the Sherman Firefly, which I have talked about extensively already in the actual reviews I did about a year ago. Then we've got gift sets, where you get, in some cases, like a dogfight double set, which is what it's based on, the old dogfight doubles here. But you can get a nice stand with it. Last Flight of Concorde commemorative edition in 1/144th. And I'm going to talk as well as we're going through. I've actually got their website page open, and I'm just going to comment on one or two of these, not generally, but the pricing of some of these. These are fine that we're looking at now, but there's one or two kits we're going to talk about because the pricing to me doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and is completely contra to all logic, I think, in some cases, but we'll talk about that, and perhaps somebody can shout up and say what they think. Gift sets, they're still saying it's under gift sets. I'm not sure why they're saying it's a gift set. Oh yeah, of course it's the full set. They used to call it something else, starter set, didn't they? Where it used to include the paint, you get the paints and the brushes. I think for people coming into the hobby, youngsters especially, this is a great idea, but maybe not if you're a bit more experienced, because you won't probably like the paints and you may not like the brushes too much, but yeah, they're alright as a gift, obviously that's the idea. So there's a few there, not a lot of new stuff, but we have got one or two changes where we'll talk in a bit more detail as we go through, because this is the gift set. There's a bit of duplication here, so I'm not going to dwell on these. I'm just going to flick through them. Talk about one or two of these kits, like the Harrier and the Lightning, a little bit later. And then we've got Battle Bit of Memorial, all this stuff, a lot of which we've seen before. And then one or two that that are recent additions. I must admit the Skyhawk and the MiG-17 that looks like a really good gift set, I've got to say. Likewise with the Zero and the Wildcat. So some good subjects, it has to be said, and some lovely artwork here. So let's bear that in mind, really. These bring back memories for me. These Battlefront sets where you've got like the gun emplacement Overlord D-Day with the guns on the bunker on the beach. I never actually had that. The Overlord gift set, they call it, and there's also D-Day Assault gift set, which comes with the landing craft. So I think you've actually got a combination there of two sets in that picture, so that's a little bit misleading perhaps. And they do the air assault set. They're quite nice, these. If you get youngsters that's getting interested in history and the famous battles and things like that, it's not a bad idea to have a serious look at these. You've got the Titanic. You've got it there in two different scales. You've got 1000 scale and 700 scale, and then even in the bigger 400 scale. So obviously that's getting bigger and bigger. So they really covered the Titanic well. And then we get into the proper kits, which I think is what many of us are interested in. So, military aircraft. Just wonder if I've got too many reflections here. Where's that reflection coming from? From over there? Yeah, that's the one, isn't it? There we go, that's better. So let's get right in, let's dive in here. So we've got, I'm not going to go, discuss every one of them. Some of these you've seen before. These are not new. We'll come to the sort of ones that are worthy of some note, because they're perhaps new or have new features. And here we go on the second page. So we've got a reintroduction here, new pack illustration with new schemes. This is the the F51. This is when the Mustang was formed into the American Air Force was formed, USAF, rather than being the Army Air Corps as it had been during the war. And they had P for prototype. And they dropped the P and became F for fighter, and this is true of all their aircraft, P51, P47, etc. So we've got this one here. It's got some new schemes, so new decals on that one with some new artwork, and of course this is one that was mainly used in the Korean War anyway, this Mustang. So I'm just playing my light a bit more. There we go. Another one over here, we've got the Mark 22 Spitfire again, reintroduced. So it's not a new kit, but it's got new schemes, new decals for it. Then we've got the Bf109 G6, which we've seen before. These are all at 172, of course. Now here we have got a genuinely new kit, which we're still waiting for, which is actually due out in 2021. And because of the pandemic and all these shipping problems that have been going on, and the Suez Canal being jammed up for a couple of months didn't help in the summertime. I had a kit myself that was jammed up in the Suez Canal, which eventually came. But that Mark V Tempest, this is the 172. Now this does look very nice, I've got to say, and that's going to be something well worth looking out for. And it will be coming through. It says autumn winter 21-22, so it's imminently, due very, very soon. Any week now, I would say. Definitely one to watch out for, and it'd be interesting to see how it compares to, not in scale obviously, but in quality, to the Edward, the 148 Tempest 5, which I had and wasn't impressed by, I have to be honest. So, I doubt it's going to be any worse than that, let's put it that way. I think it's going to be quite nice, and in a nice scale where I'll probably buy that, and it's Roland Beaumont's markings, like the famous fighter ace of World War II who became test pilot for British Aircraft Corporation and others later. Then we've got, again, I'm not going through every one, but we've got, one thing that strikes you about the new Airfix stuff is they've gone back to traditional style of artwork. They've gone back to the style of Roy Cross, although he's not doing them anymore. I've forgotten the name of the gentleman that is doing it, but he featured on the Hornby programme, and I have to say that he's doing a great job for them, and he is definitely it sort of reminds you of that style that we used to have, where we've got action, we've got explosions, this political correct mumbo jumbo that we seem to go through. We seem to have it in other parts of our society at the moment, but it seems to have been dropped in modelling finally, certainly by Airfix anyway. So hats off to them for that. We definitely appreciate, young kids getting interested in these subjects. They need to have their imaginations fired up. We don't need to depict the violence in a nasty and negative way, but explosions, air combat, you cannot have them sterilised and try and pretend that they're just flying around for a display. Some of these aircraft are warplanes, and they should be depicted as such. But anyway, there we go. Nice one with the 262. I'm just trying to see what it's actually strapping and bombing. I think it's an American or British column there. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. Reintroduction of the bloody Mark IV F. That's a nice one. That's being reintroduced. I think it's got new schemes. Are they the same? Not quite. No, maybe not. Maybe it's just a reintroduction, no new scheme. Then we've got something completely new. The new mould Meteor. The F8, and that does look really nice. So this is the short, sort of, if you like, clip wing style of Meteor. One of the later ones that, of course, was sold to various air forces around the world, including, is that India or Spain? I can't. My eyes are not very good on the markings. It looks like Spain to me, but not sure about that. Just looking at the right up here. You can see there, this is completely new, brand new item. Definitely a subject that will interest people. One of the first RAF jet fighter, basically. 100 mile an hour faster than the piston planes of the era. So yeah, just trying to see what it says about the schemes, if it tells me. Not very explanatory there. It's all about the history of it, really. Anyway, it looks like a very interesting plane. The CAD rendering is to be believed, which I don't like doing, but I can understand with a brand new product that they would do that before they've got it out. What I don't understand is why they put it on the box once it's been produced, because we don't want to see CAD images, we want to see the proper product. Anyway, it looks a really nice model, so we'll keep our eyes open for that. When's it due, do they say? No, I think it'll be back end of the year, probably about August, September. That. We've got reintroduction here of the Sea Harrier in 72nd for the Falklands anniversary. I'm a little bit disappointed. I'll come to this later, but I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't do more for the Falklands, but we'll come to that later on. We've also got this 80th anniversary of the Channel Dash, 1942, when the Germans rushed up the Channel with what was left of their major battleships and cruisers, the Scharnhorst, Eisenhower and the Prince Eugen, and of course they were protected by hordes of Focke-Wulfs. The weather was very bad, so we couldn't use the Spitfire, so we sent the Fairy Swordfish, the amazing torpedo bomber which we'd used so successfully at Taranto, but unfortunately they didn't have a very good day. There was a lot of men killed because the weather was so bad. We didn't have proper fighter cover, weren't able to attack these ships in the way planned, and basically they didn't damage the enemy ships and most of the crews were killed. Only 5 survived, it says, so there you go. So it's a very interesting subject, I've got to say. Bit of a suicide mission almost, really, but it amazes me, this one, because I always thought that given how close it was to our shores, we could have put up something a bit more of a stern offence against this dash than happened, and it seems very unfair to send these men to their deaths with so little cover. I mean, either do it properly or don't do it, because it achieved nothing. All that happened is these men died, so I feel a bit sorry for them and their relatives. Right, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of some of the new stuff. I'm going to zoom you in a bit here because my remote's not working, so I'm going to have to do this manually. So we've got a couple here that are definitely worth noting. We've got the BAE GR7/GR9 Harrier, the last Harrier, and we've also got the F2a Lightning, which has got a new pack illustration. Not sure if that... oh yeah, it's got new schemes. It's got 2 new schemes. No, 1. I think the top one is a new scheme, this one. And the Harrier... I didn't have the original kits. I'm not quite as familiar with the original version of this. Not quite sure which is the new one. Might be both. But that's very nice to see those 2 back. Then over here we've got also the Dornier DF17, which has got new schemes and new pack illustration. Likewise we've got the Dakota or Skytrain C47. So that again has got that's a reintroduction. I don't think there's any changes to it though. I think it's just reintroduced from, I think it was 2016. Excuse me, no, 2014 I think. So those 2 are worthy of note. They've reintroduced also this Heinkel 111. We've got the new Buccaneer from last year, of course. 12 months ago that was just arriving. More on Buccaneers later. Heinkel 111P2, which was shot down by a Blackburn skewer, which is quite an unusual shoot down, I would suggest. But certainly always welcome to the Heinkel 111. Just going to zoom out again a bit so you can see them all. All these in the range include the RAF resupply set, definitely worth having if you've got a Lancaster or a Wellington or something. And then there are several Lancasters in the range, as you can see. You get the B2, B3, which is the Dambusters edition. And then the standard B3. Now then, 'cause I don't want to go too far, 'cause I don't want to go too far. Right, the V-bombers. And Airfix first. For the first time in history, all three of the famous V-bombers are available. Vulcan, Victor and Valiant. Oh, and don't they look superb, eh? They really do look nice. Now, I have to say I reviewed all three of these in the last 12 months. Of course, this is a reintroduction. It was the 2016 issue of the Victor that I did the review on. They already reintroduced the Valiant a few months ago. And of course we had the new Vulcan for 2021 as it turned out. It would have been 2020 but it was delayed. Very, very nice, and I have to say that I particularly like that Victor. I thought that was a lovely kit, really exceptional. So they are all going to be available, and now we are into 148th aircraft. And again, quite a lot of these are familiar. I won't go through these because we've seen all of those before. Including the Airfix display stands, the traditional display stands. They used to include free, quite why you have to buy them now. I think they're about £5 or £6 for a set. Quite why they can't include those is beyond me. It annoys me a little bit. Airfix, if you're listening, Hornby, come on. I purchased this set and I thought the quality was very poor. They haven't improved or changed in any way since the 1970s, literally. Come on, you should be including something like that free of charge, like Matchbox used to do, and you used to do. Anyway, enough of the moaning. Now then, we've got something here of interest. We've got this lovely Spitfire Mark 18, which is got new parts and new schemes on it, again for the Korean War. So that looks quite welcome. Yeah, it's got an Indian scheme here, I think India, isn't it? And then over here we've got the Mustang, P51D Mustang, which is just shot down in the artwork, shot down a Messerschmitt 262 jet fighter. Sorry, I'm just having a bit more coffee there. Then we've got some new stuff here, new parts. The F86 F40 Sabre, and this has got some beautiful artwork. Again, it's over Korea. Absolutely stellar artwork there from Airfix, as we've come to expect recently. There's quite a few new parts. This is the one that's got the longer wings, extended wings. And I think there's a difference maybe with the air brakes and the something else. Maybe the tanks, I can't remember. But we've got quite an unusual scheme here. They've got the Japanese scheme, which is quite nice. Some of these are sold to Japan. The Japanese Air National Guard in the 50s, when they started to re-equip their air force, of course, after the war. And now we get into the new stuff. Let's go really right in here. He says, zooming out, the Avro Anson Mark 1. Now, speaking of someone who is constantly buzzed by Avro Ansons, where I live there's an Anson that's based not too far away at an airfield. And some of you may have even noticed on my earlier vids, lighter, on some of my earlier videos, you've actually seen this Anson flying over. It's quite a noisy little thing, and it's quite big. It's bigger than you think. Yeah, it's kind of Blenheim, perhaps slightly bigger than a Blenheim actually. It's not a small aircraft. So they've now come up with this 48 scale, completely out of the blue, brand new release. I have to say that I don't think anybody was screaming out for an Anson. That's the thing that I find slightly odd, but that's not a criticism because I think it looks absolutely superb. We'll wait reserving judgment until it's actually in our hands, but it does look good, doesn't it? I mean, look at that detail in there. Very detailed looking cockpit. And get rid of the reflections. Let's just zoom in a bit more so you can see this. It looks really rather nice. You know, you've got your turret, you've got all the aerials, you've got your unusual undercarriage and your radial engines, and then you've got three schemes. I think I might well paint mine in the scheme that's the local one, and I can't remember the lettering on it, but yeah, that would be really good fun, I think. So that's something really quite left field from Airfix. Nobody's expecting that at all. This one we weren't expecting, but I think most people are very, very pleased to see it. It's the Blackburn Buccaneering 148th, finally. Because the existing one they've had from 1994, of course, has been, well, having built it personally, I can speak with experience that it is to be avoided, frankly. It's really horrible, a total battle. Wouldn't encourage anybody who tried to build that to continue modelling, frankly. It's enough to put you off. It's really awful. So they have completely, totally retooled it, brand new moulds, and now look at this. It looks absolutely stunning. You've got a full weapon set, including the Navy 2-inch rockets, Matra rockets. You've got the is it Sea Skewer? Excuse me. Sea Skewer missile. You've got the standard one and the TV guided one. Slipper tanks and bombs. Fully detailed bomb bay. You've got the big air brakes at the back. And it's really, looks like it's going to be a beautiful kit, this. Long overdue, I think, but very welcome indeed. So hats off to you, Airfix. Just one problem with this kit, as far as I can see, and I'm afraid that's its price. You might want to sit down for this. So it's 1/48 scale jet, and it's going to be retailing from Airfix at £72.49 on pre-order. So whether it comes out at that price or goes up a little bit more, it's sort of mid-70s it's going to be, which seems a lot of money for a 48 scale jet from Airfix, given that they are at the more competitive end of the market, shall we say. I think very few people expected that price. Personally, I think it's at least £10 too expensive. And I've heard all the excuses, and you know, these excuses get thrown up about shipping costs and COVID and all this. Well, I'll explain shortly why I think that's nonsense, because it doesn't seem to apply to some of their other kits that are also new tool, even more impressive perhaps, and bigger. So there is no correlation with that price and the explanations given that I can see. The only explanation I think that you could say was valid really would be, you know, it's economies of scale. This is a very British subject, and I think that Airfix feel that it won't sell in the volumes of, say, the Spitfire, which we're going to talk about again in a moment. So I think that they feel that they have to charge for it a non-volume price. You know, the sales will be big, but they won't be huge and global like some of their other products. So you could argue that we're paying a realistic price from their perspective, but I think what it really means is that they've had to put higher margin on this to cover the return costs of the tooling. Because if it was going to sell like hotcakes, I don't think it would be anything like that price. Anyway, there are 4 schemes, as well on that, but it is a very curious pricing. I'd like to know who in Airfix thought that was a good idea. And there's another one we'll talk about regarding price, which is even more ridiculous. Truly ridiculous, the next one I'll talk about later, but there we go. 4 schemes to choose from. It says here that we have got Royal Naval Air Service, yeah, it talks about the Bugatti Buccaneers. You've got one that's got like the Lovis type RAF style Navy scheme, and then you've got the more typical higher vis Navy scheme with the roundels. I never quite understood this roundel thing on the Navy planes, because you saw in the Falklands what they did. The first thing they did was they went from this style and overpainted them to that style, because they didn't want the roundels to look like a target and be very instantly visible. Anyway, we move on. Reintroduction of the Westland links. In fact, it's the very last links, isn't it? And it's the one that this is the one that I think it was the last one to use the Martel. I'm just going to check this. There's something very unusual about it, and I can't remember. It's to do with a weapon, I'm sure it is. I think it's the last one that dropped a Martel missile. Was it Sea Skewer? Sea Skewer missile. It's the last Lynx helicopter that dropped a Sea Skewer. So they modelled it because it was the last of the breed, if you like, and it does look rather nice. So that's a nice looking one. Reintroduction's got some new schemes on it. So that being one of the schemes. Then we've got the Javelin, which we've seen before, which we'll flick over to. Now, this is the big one. It's the 24 scale Spitfire Mark 9X. Now, I've just been talking about pricing on this. Let's have a look at this CAD work while I talk. So I've just talked about the Buccaneer, and I thought it was expensive. Now, this is different in that this is 24 scale, so it's double the scale, not double the size, but double the scale. Obviously, the Spitfire is a smaller plane than a Buccaneer, but this is only coming out at £95 for pre-order. Now that sounds to me like a very, very, well, a good deal really. £94.99 for such a big kit. I'm not the biggest fan of them choosing the Mark 9 because I think that we've got enough Mark 9s in all sorts of scales, far too many in fact. But this is very, very competitively priced, and I think this is where Airfix have been a bit more clever, because they know that this is, if they price it well, this will really sell very, very fast and very widely across the globe. There's a scheme, there's a French scheme, there's an American scheme, Canadian scheme. They've really covered all the bases, and they're thinking about their world markets, of course. So as a marketing exercise, I think they've done a very clever thing here. Very clever. Not so sure I wouldn't have preferred a Mark 1. I'm hoping that they really do need to bring the Mark 1 out, because the existing original Mark 1 is so ancient. Nearly 60 years of age now, that's just too much. It's literally the same age, it's almost the same age as me, I think. I think I'm younger, only just. But it's old, and it's, you know, it's not a nice kit. Now this we have state of the art. Look at some of the detail we've got here in this cockpit. They really seem to have gone to town. I have to say that the quality, a bit more light, I think. The quality of some of the images from the CAD really did look, you know, we're having a bit of focus trouble. It really does look very, very nice. I did see the finished test shot model, which was on their video. You've probably seen it yourself. I wasn't so impressed with that though. I thought that looked pretty poor actually in places. So let's just ignore that and let's assume this is going to be closer to the truth. But it's yeah, it's going to be a big seller for sure, and they've priced it very competitively. So whilst I'm disappointed with the choice, the model choice, I think that from a marketing point of view, they will sell lots of these, I'm sure. And I suppose, you know, given those schemes I just looked at there, it's inevitable that they're going to sell them in these other territories. So good luck to them, and let's see what it's like when it comes out. It's going to be something to look forward to. Now then, military vehicles. Just one problem with military vehicles from Airfix. They've started to do some very, very nice products indeed, in fairness to them. Something to enjoy. The one problem, perhaps problem's too strong a word, but they're missing a trick here. I'm a big fan of the old Matchbox ranges, I should say, of armour. Theirs was in 176th. Now, obviously these are 135th we're talking about here, and they've got this new Brum bar, which is quite interesting. But this is not a new tool. I think this is from the Academy range, which has been rebadged, reboxed, if you will. So that's Academy in South Korea. It's bound to be a decent kit though. I'm sure it's going to be quite nice, so I won't worry about that too much. Then we've got a couple of others, again, Academy, under the skin, and they're Academy kits, these. So yeah, it's quite a nice selection. You've got a Stug 4, which looks quite nice, and then there's a Panzer 3. It's the House J sort of thing that I think they were using in Russian front. I think they had them in North Africa, if I'm not mistaken. And then look at this. You remember that movie Ice Cold in Alex with the Austin K2 ambulance? Well, here it is. I mean, this, you could do a really nice Ice Cold in Alex diorama here with it sort of going up the sand dunes, couldn't you? It would look really cool. Well, that's a nice subject, and again, a bit like the Anson in the aircraft. Didn't really expect or anticipate this one coming out, but I think that's very welcome. That would be a really interesting subject to do, I think, especially if you're into your you know, trucks and military vehicles. Then we've got just a few that we've seen before already. They're building up this 135th range, but I say most of them I think are Academy. With one or two other, I think there's been another couple of manufacturers have stepped in for some of these, but can't remember. I think they're mainly Academy. One or two of their own, of course. I think the Cromwell here, this is the one from last year, that's their own, isn't it? King Tiger, etc, etc. Sherman Firefly. This is the 172 range now. Now it's strange that they've got 176 range here, the Cromwell 4, and then they've got 172 in the Tiger and the Sherman Firefly. And they are jumping around a bit. It's like Airfix can't make their mind up what is the correct scale. But I think that's a bit balmy. You know, why would we have 176 and 172? Same theatre, you know, Normandy, late war, World War II. and they've gone and got them in different scales. Don't understand that. My other sort of moan was the fact that they don't do these dioramas. I mean, Matchbox did it so easily and effortlessly. I can't understand why Airfix cannot pick up this idea, because if they put these dioramas in, I think they'd sell many more kits than they are at the moment, especially in this smaller scale. Anyway, we'll see. Got a Higgins landing craft, Bedford truck. Now we're getting into the vintage classics. Vintage classics, Airfix. These are words to be a little bit wary of. Sorry, I'm sounding negative, I don't mean to be. Airfix do one thing very well. They're very honest. They're honest in that instead of reboxing an old kit, they actually call it a vintage classic, and you know it's an old kit, old tool, old school. You know, they're not trying to fool anybody. Unlike Revell, for example, who did this many kits. Oh, they keep doing it. I think they really need to stop it, because it's put me completely off Revell as a brand. They keep reboxing and rebadging things, not telling you that that's the old kit from the 70s or 60s, and pumping it out like it's a brand new product. You go into a store or online, you don't recognise the artwork, and you assume, quite rightly, understandably, you'll assume that it's a new product, and it isn't. It's ancient and it's nasty. Airfix give you the option. They say it's a vintage classic. Enjoy nostalgia with the revival of classic boxes, original artworks as well, which is very important. So that's fine. You know, if you want to have a project and build your way around all the problems that you'll find in these kits, some more than others, of course. But that's fine. You know what you're letting yourself in for. It's the modeller's choice. If he wants to go and relive the experience he had before, and perhaps update it with some modern aftermarket, modern techniques, etc, etc, that's fine. But you know, it's great that Airfix are honest about it. Look at the range now, it's really expanding. We've got the HE Val, we've got the new reintroduction of the old the Beagle Basset, the training plane for the RAF, and this year we've got the Shooting Star. Look at this, from Korea. Look at that. I had that one. I really liked it as well. I think that was one of their better older kits. I think that's quite a decent kit. Over on this side we've got the Boomerang coming back, and the Westland Whirlwind. Boomerang wasn't a bad kit. I built that one as well, but I don't think I did the Whirlwind. I'm not a fan of helicopters usually though. Also they've got the Beaver coming back, so that's very good. Now the next page, you better sit down for this, because we're going to hit some problems. We're going to hit some problems here. One very big problem. Here it is. Hawk Siddeley Harrier GR1. Now this is where I'm a little bit annoyed with Airfix on this one, because I think they've been very, I've just been praising them about they've been honest, and they've been very wise with some of these things in terms of marketing. Here suddenly they seem to have completely gone off the rails, and it's almost like they've been smoking something they shouldn't have done, because this is a complete reintroduction, exactly as was. There's nothing new about it. There's no new tooling, there's no new schemes. Everything is as you will remember it in your, I was going to say dreams, but I think the word nightmares would be more appropriate. From the 1970s. I actually got this for Christmas, 1978, and I was so happy. Until I started trying to build it. I won't bore you with all the problems it's got, which are many. Gaps, terrible joins, very poor shaping of the parts, flash, every fault you can think of. They're all here, I'm afraid. They're all here. Now, who knows, they may have cleaned up the mould, so maybe some of those won't be as prevalent, but this is completely old school as was. The problem with this kit is that Airfix have decided to pitch it at a price which makes absolutely no sense to anybody. They pitched it at £97, and this is on pre-order at £97. Now bear in mind that the new Spitfire, which is brand new, they've had to put in complete new tooling, all the R&D, they've had to do the research on the schemes and the paints and all the rest of it, and then produce a completely new kit from scratch. They've priced that at £95, but this Harrier is £97. Maybe they have to clean up the mould, I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But either way, I do not see how that retail price of £97 makes any rational sense whatsoever in comparison with something like the Spitfire. Now this again could be a case of volume, like we talked about with the Buccaneer. But I'm sorry, anybody who's listening to this who doesn't know the kit, do not go there, because if you think you're going to have a nice experience, it's got such beautiful artwork. Look at that picture. I mean, that is a lovely, lovely picture. One of my favourites actually of the Airfix range. It always has this presence, great, almost photographic quality to it. But the contents of this box do not match the picture, and they certainly don't match the price of £97. So I don't know what Airfix are thinking of. I'm actually quite annoyed with them because I think that's just ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. That has got to be the worst value for money kit I've probably ever seen, actually, at that price. So my advice to you would be totally avoid this unless you're very familiar with it, unless you know what you're letting yourself in for. Don't be fooled, because this is not going to be a pleasant 100 quid's worth of modelling building experience. So sorry Airfix, but that's wrong. You should have priced this at about £65. Maybe 70 at the outside. Nothing over 75 would be too expensive, but £97 is completely crazy, absurd. Don't know what you're thinking of. No, an absolute no. That's the worst thing you've done this year. Anyway, I'm moving on. It always amuses me the way that people come up with all sorts of excuses. Oh, it's COVID, it's packaging. Well, I'll tell you something else about Airfix that we should talk about when we talk about crazy prices and things and costs. This, we saw the Victor, and I was complimenting the Victor being a lovely kit. One thing that wasn't lovely, the one and only thing about the Victor that wasn't lovely, and several others, they put them in these enormous bags. The sprues could be hugely oversized bags in a hugely oversized box. And this, of course, will make shipping costs much higher than they need to be. And you see other manufacturers that are actually tailoring their boxes much more closely to the actual product. Now, alright, with a reissue, that's more understandable that you'd have a big box or big sprues, because if they have to retool it all, then it's going to add more cost. But when you've got relatively new toolings that are coming in these ridiculous boxes with about 30% of just fresh air in them, how does that make any sense? You can't complain about shipping costs and then charging the customer because you choose a hugely stupidly oversized box and bags. Rant over, let's move on. I'm just pointing out, people that should know better are making arguments for people like Airfix, especially on this. This is one of Airfix's big weaknesses, this boxing issue. I think what they basically do, they probably have, I don't know, 4, maybe 5 sort of standard boxes, you know, and they're just trying to pigeonhole everything into those, but it doesn't actually help them when they're actually on shipping. You know, a container of, let's just start for argument's sake, a container of Victors being shipped to America. Well, 30% of that container is fresh air. It's just absolutely stupid. But anyway, I'll move on. Reintroductions here. We've got the Joseph Stalin tank. Look at this one. There we are. Look at that. That looks nice. A good-looking tank, if ever I saw one. One of Russia's best ever, really. Then we've also got the Chinese, the Chi-Ha, is it? Chi-Ha? Sorry, Japanese tank, I mean. I did mean Japanese in my head, but it came out as Chinese for some reason. And then more that are reintroduced. There's some artworks here that are very, very familiar to people, I'm sure. Some interesting ones. You know, we've got the war scenes back with gunfire and realistic scenes, in other words. Duck W, look at that. Amphibious craft coming up the beach at Normandy. Sherman Calliope. That's the one that fires the rockets off its roof. Sherman with a landing craft. So many, you know, so many sort of iconic models here. Anyway, move on. Now, here's another couple of reintroductions which I'm not that happy about, because I don't think that I've talked about the Falklands. Well, one I really wanted to see for the Falklands was a new Sea Harrier FRS-1 in 24 scale, or at least 48th. 48th would have been okay. But no, they've reintroduced a couple of old shit models. Now, I did actually have the Devonshire myself in the 70s. I built this. Quite a nice little kit, but nothing special. Very flashy, a bit nasty. Doable though, not a problem, you know. But that's it, they've done that, and they've done HMS Fearless, and that's their Falklands sort of, that's their effort that they've gone to for the Falklands, which I think is a bit disappointing, and Airfix really should have done a bit more. It's the 40th anniversary this year. I do think that you could have made a bit more effort, so you know, reintroducing a Harrier GR1, which is completely against all rationale. You'd have done better if you'd reintroduced or new tooled a Sea Harrier. You'd have sold a lot more of those, but there we go. I'll zoom you back out. There we are. We've got the Beach Buggy, a lot of old stuff here that we're very familiar with, I'm sure. Old Jaguar 420, Bentley Supercharged, Lower Bentley. Some classic ships there, Cutty-Sart, Hms Victory. Yes, all the battle seeds are back. Look, the Golden Hind. Brilliant. And then we've got the famous infantry. We've got a couple of reintroductions here. We've got the Japanese World War II infantry and the Russian infantry. They're all back. That's good. I mean, these are quite nice little figures. I used to quite enjoy having these. I mean, they are what they are. They're nothing fancy. You still get the astronauts as well. Look at that. I had about 14, 15 astronauts on the moon when I was about, 10 years old. All at the same time. Any other reintroductions? No, it's the same old stuff really here. We've got World War I infantry, British infantry, RAF personnel, American personnel, Luftwaffe personnel, British paratroops, etc., etc. Same old thing, really. Same old thing. And then we just get into some of their sort of other stuff. So I think that's the most interesting parts really covered. I hope you found it interesting. It's got a technical index there. It's got licensing agreements, which of course Airfix sometimes have to pay, which is, have to bear that in mind. Of course, sometimes they have to pay a fee to McLaren or Gulf or Northrop or whoever it is. Painting guide, etc., etc. It's just the usual stuff, really, with their various other items. Anyway, there we are, folks. I thought rather than seeing me today, you would see that. It's a nice brochure. I think it's a bit expensive at £9, if I'm honest. That's also a bit overpriced, but there we go. I think the Spitfire, personally, would have preferred a Mark 1, but understand why they've done this. I think the pricing is very, very clever and competitive. What's not clever and competitive on pricing is the Harrier and the Buccaneer, and we'll see where they go. But I hope I've highlighted to people that be wary, know what you're getting yourself into. But I'm sure that'll be quite impressive when that comes out. So I expect we'll see that sort of July-ish, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you'll give me a thumbs up and give us a 10 out of 10. I give Airfix, overall, I give them 8 out of 10, I think. Because there's one or two things they've introduced that I'm not too impressed with, but what they've brought out that's new looks really, really good. So, credit where it's due, and look forward to seeing them very soon. Hope I'll see you folks very, very soon. Thank you for watching, really appreciate all your time, and I just want to say, please tune in again. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have done, remember to smash that notification bell so you get early warning of any kits reviews or other videos that I upload that you might find of interest. And I hope to see you again very, very soon. In the meantime, look after yourselves, take care, thanks a lot, and bye for now.